the Prince of Wales' quest for a suitable future queen ended in an adjudged union with Diana because Charles didn't want to follow late King Edward VIII's example, according to Ted Powell, author of King Edward VIII, An American Life. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Mr. Powell said, in his anxiety not to follow Edward's example, Charles rushed into an adjudged marriage with Lady Diana Spencer, with disastrous results. Edward VIII abdicated in 1936 to be able to marry the woman he loved, American divorcee Wallis Simpson, a decision which ended with his abdication and Queen Elizabeth II's father, King George Virgin Islands US, taking the throne. And before making this damning choice, which shook the House of Windsor to the ground and sparked a constitutional crisis, Edward VIII lived a chaotic love life, moving from one lover to another until he was in his 40s. Throughout his life, Prince Charles was constantly reminded of what Edward VIII did, as his actions were highlighted by family and advisors as examples to be avoided at all costs. Among them, Earl Louis Mountbatten, Prince Charles's mentor, was particularly keen on chastising the young royal for any behavior that could send him on a path similar to Edward, according to Mr. Powell. When Charles was a young man in the 1970s, the example of Uncle David was repeatedly held up to him as a dreadful warning of how the Prince of Wales should not behave. The author said, Edward's abdication has cast a long shadow over the life of Prince Charles. Earl Mountbatten was particularly concerned that he should not make the same mistake of postponing marriage as Edward had done. On one occasion he wrote to Charles, I thought you were beginning on the downward slope which wrecked your Uncle David's life and led to his disgraceful abdication and futile life ever after. Earl Mountbatten was killed by the IRA in 1980, but his teachings lived on with Charles. 1 year later, on July 29, 1981, the Prince of Wales and Princess Diana got married in St Paul's Cathedral, London. But despite Diana being seen as a suitable wife for a prince, their relationship went downhill quickly. The Princess of Wales revealed years later she was suffering from depression and bulimia. And in a shocking interview released to BBC Panorama in 1995, Diana opened up on the flaws of her relationship with the Prince of Wales, famously revealing there were 3 people in her marriage, her, Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. Mr. Powell said despite his efforts to stay as far as possible from Edward VIII's example, Prince Charles ended up being compared to the late king. The author said, in the 1990s his clandestine affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, and consequent divorce from Diana, rocked the royal family to its foundations, and prompted comparisons with Edward's affair with Wallis Simpson. Ted Powell's new book King Edward VIII, An American Life, published by Oxford University Press, is out now in hardback and ebook.